welcome to this Freaky Friday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco, and yes, I'm back from Miami. I was down there for all the mayhem, all the ridiculousness, all the Spanish speaking, because somehow Cory Booker now speaks Spanish, and so does everyone else. And Julian Castro is hola ustedes, como estas, and all this other stuff. But the truth of the matter is, it was a snore fest, other than Kamala Harris laying a little bit of a beatdown on Joe Biden. We'll get into all of that and more. We'll come to you live Monday to Friday every week from 12 noon Eastern to 1 from the Question Tequila Studios back from Miami, and right here back at the Newsmax headquarters in New York. And as we speak at the top of the hour, high noon Eastern on this Friday edition, the Dow Jones Industrial Average still holding that 26,000 number as the support that we've been talking about. As we speak, it's 26,600. And Bitcoin is, it made a little bit of a recovery today. It traded as high as 13,000 this week, probably a little overbought, a little overheated, trading around 11.8. I'd like to see it close above 12, but anything that holds in the double digits above 10,000 is good for you if you're invested in Bitcoin. And all of these other altcoins like Ethereum and Monero and Litecoin and all this other stuff, they just basically follow the leader. So if you're invested in Bitcoin, or if you're invested in these lower coins, they're all pretty much going to follow the trend of what Bitcoin is doing. It has the greatest adoption across the globe as it stands right now today. Markets are great, probably be stable until we get some news out of the G20 summit. Apparently this morning, Donald Trump smiled when he saw Vladimir Putin, and that set off all kinds of alarms. But he's going to meet with President Xi. And hopefully they can come to some accord that quells these China fears. And anything good out of there about China, I think the Dow Jones next week is on a rocket shot. Today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average will re-weight. So there'll be some serious action at the end of the day. And when we talk about action, we talk about one man. My co-host and the managing editor of Liquid Lunch, Frank Morano, joins me again. And Frankie, I missed you, pal.
I missed you,
I really
actually,
missed
John.
You, man. It's just not the same when I'm not with
I
you.
couldn't agree more, and neither could the listeners. I will say, John, I'm interested in this look that you've been experimenting with spectacles over the last few days. I do think it's kind of stylish, but you are at least dispelling the old stereotype that anyone who wears glasses looks smart. So my compliments for doing whatever you can.
I tried them out the other day, and I got some viewer feedback that I did look smart. So I figure, being that I'm not that smart, maybe the glasses can at least create that illusion.
As you know, you could fool some of the people all the time. All right. Well, the debate that you were down in Miami for is one of the big stories that we're watching around the country and around the world. Let's have a look.
Fair enough.
President Trump is out with a warning to Russian President Vladimir Putin, but the seriousness of it is being questioned this morning. Responding to a reporter's question at the G20 summit, Trump told Putin, "Don't meddle in the election, please." However, he did so with a slight wag of his finger and a laugh. Former Vice President Joe Biden didn't have to worry too much about sharing the debate stage, as he had the most speaking time during last night's Democratic presidential debate in Miami. Biden had more than 13 and a half minutes of time. He's currently the highest polling candidate and was the most attacked by his fellow White House hopefuls. The least amount of time on the mic went to Andrew Yang, a tech entrepreneur who didn't wear a tie, who wants to give every American a universal basic income. And finally, the U.S. Supreme Court says it's not the job of the federal courts to regulate partisan gerrymandering. The political process of drawing congressional district lines, which we've seen time and time again throughout the country, is a political issue. In a case involving North Carolina and Maryland yesterday, justices said they can't decide an issue that is up to state legislatures.
Frankie, you always hit it out of the park with that stuff. You bring on viewers right up to speed on everything that's happening in just like 2.5 minutes. You go around the globe, spanning the globe, and right into, in some instances, their neck of the woods. In this neck of the woods, earlier this week, we were lucky enough to have a legend, the man who was #1 for 16 years on cable news, Bill O'Reilly, and he brought the no-spin news to Newsmax TV and Liquid Lunch. Here's a little more of our exclusive one-on-one interview with Bill O'Reilly.
Mr. Early, I have to take advantage of your expertise with respect to the state of cable news. You mastered it at a level people hadn't seen before or since for 16 straight years in a venue that people didn't even think that was possible. What do you think of the state of cable news today, the big three, namely?
Well, President Trump ruined cable news. He destroyed it single-handedly, and he knows it. You know, I have a book coming out in September, The United States of Trump, and it's a history book on him. Who he really is, how he pulled it off, all right? And in the processes of my conversations with him, he knows that he has destroyed cable news, that when he leaves the stage, they all collapse. Now, they're on the descent now. All their ratings are down, all three. CNN is the worst because CNN basically puts itself up as an objective news service, and that I don't think there's anybody in the world including James, what's his name? Jones, right? James Earl Jones. He doesn't even believe it. All right? He doesn't even believe it. Nobody believes it's an objective news service. So they've hurt themselves, and their ratings are horrible. MSNBC was always a failure, always. And then it started to hate Trump, and then it built the hate Trump audience because they hate Trump better than CNN. They're more hateful. Not by a lot, but they're better at it.
They're not trying to make believe they're objective. No. They're basically telling you no matter what he does, he's wrong.
Right. But since the Mueller report, MSNBC has collapsed in ratings. Fox has gone over to the pro-Trump camp. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. The problem with Fox is it's all Trump. Everything's Trump. And people just getting, look, we got to have something else. You know, when I did The Factor, I had Waters World, I had Miller, I had, you know, we tried to bring in a lot of stuff.
Culture Warriors.
Yeah, to relieve it.
Yes.
You don't see any of that anymore.
You know, one of the things that we try to do on this show is we try to be an antidote to that stuff. And Chris Ruddy gave us a great shot. Frankie and I are radio guys, and we're always talking to what we call the purple people, that all these people that are 100% red and 100% blue, they're the zealots. They're the nut jobs. And the people that have some of both, the purple people, are unrepresented. No one's even talking to them. And is there an audience out there that someone like Newsmax can latch onto as all these other ones are descending? Could Newsmax rise from the ashes?
It just depends on how well you produce your programming. So you have to take a stand. You have to. You can't be, well, I understand that, but then you can't be wishy-washy. You can't. You got to say, this is how I see it, and this is why I see it that way. But you can do it in an entertaining, even funny way, and not be hateful. I think that's the key to it.
You've been really generous with your time. My final question is, and I'm thrilled that you're on the radio again, and like John said, we're radio guys, and you sound great with these Paul Harvey-esque commentaries. Yeah. But I remember when you used to do your radio show, the long-form radio show, you had a segment called No Spin Advice, where you'd give anybody advice about anything. If you were to give the president advice about how to handle the situation at the border right now, and in a way that it won't harm him politically going into 2020, what would it be?
Well, you basically have to define it better for the American people, because everybody assumes that everybody knows everything about the border. They don't. So you have to almost do a tutorial, like a classroom. And if I were him, I would do what FDR did, fireside chats, but on television. I say, look, here's the problem. Here's what's happening in Central America, that these cartels are smuggling thousands of people here, telling them, once you get here, all you have to do is apply for asylum, and you are in. You're an American forever. All right? But that's why we have so many people coming. And we have to stop those people. We can't absorb everybody in the world, even though the Democratic Party wants that. So he's got to basically walk the people through what the problem is and how he intends to solve it, very specifically. If he does that, he'll win the issue, because I don't think most Americans want open borders and blanket amnesty for illegal aliens. I don't think most people want that.
No, I think the American people spoke loudly in the election that they voted for Build That Wall as a symbolic thing. My last question for you is this. I feel like education is being degraded across the country. I know you're probably one of the most famous Chaminade flyers to ever walk the earth, and I'm a Monsignor Farrell Lion. That Irish Christian brother stuff really made an impact on my life, and the way kind of I learned how to work hard and have have discipline and persevere and be persistent. How bad are the Democrats killing our education system these days?
Well, I don't know if it's just Democrats. I wouldn't assign it to a political party, but the problem is that discipline has eroded in the public school system. So you're creating a two-tier country as far as education is concerned. So if you have the money to go to Chaminade, where I went, or any other very disciplined Catholic school, you're going to be way ahead when you graduate. Because the kids in a public school, they're not getting that discipline because the principals and the school boards are afraid. They're politically correct. They're afraid of lawsuits. They're afraid of getting fired. So it's a free fire zone. I used to teach high school. You don't have discipline in that classroom. You let those kids mouth off and not do their homework and all of that, falls apart fast. Yeah. All right? It's anarchy. So that's what the public schools, especially in the inner cities, that's what they are. Kids, all the teachers are trying to do is get out alive. All right? Whereas in the other schools, they're learning. And they're learning as you did, John. Discipline, hard work. This is how you succeed. They're not learning that in many of the other public schools.
And if you didn't learn, the brothers would give you a shot in the side of the head.
Yeah, no shots anymore. You wind up in prison.
Your parents would give you another one when you got home. Bill O'Reilly, you can hear him, see him every day on BillO'Reilly.com on the No Spin News. You can also see him Saturdays at 7 p.m. right here on Newsmax TV, and Sundays at 11. You could see him also, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of you here on Newsmax. And maybe one day you'll bring us. Join us for another Liquid Lunch one of these days. But I want to thank Bill O'Reilly. I want to thank you for watching Liquid Lunch. Stay right there. We'll be back right after this.
All right. Well, that was an interview that was rated PG because it was John pre-glasses. Big thank you to Bill O'Reilly for all of his very irreverent and very right on the money commentary.
Yes, that was wonderful. To me, it was huge because we grew up kind of watching this guy like, wow, that's what I want to be like. And then all of a sudden, we got him sitting in between us. And he's sitting right here on Newsmax TV, 7 p.m. on Saturdays, 11 a.m. on Sundays. You can hear Bill O'Reilly every day on BillO'Reilly.com for all you need to know about the No Spin News. And hopefully we'll have him back. Hopefully at some point we'll have him on the network every day. But when you get a guy like O'Reilly, you got to take it, and we're still showing you clips from it because he's the best guest we've ever had on the show, and it was an honor to have him. And Frankie, you made it happen.
Well, he made it happen. It was
just
very
so
nice.
you know, Frankie books all the guests. He gets all the people here. I just show up. And truthfully, I said, Frank, how'd we get O'Reilly? He said, a magician never tells his tricks. And this guy is a magician. We'll be back. Are we going to be back or no? Somebody's saying 30 seconds, somebody's saying 20.
We'll be back with Alan Tonelson next.
We will be back with Alan Tonelson right after this.